welcome. Welcome with Mariya, Gabriel. I'm happy to welcome you to this closing session of the Research and Innovation Days. We've been together now for 3 days. It was more than 35,000 of you who connected and more than 32,000 of you which were with us during these 3 days. We will now try to bring it together, together with Executive Vice President Margrethe Vestager. Margrethe, welcome.
Thank you very much.
With Anja Karliczek, German Minister for Research and Education, on behalf of the presidency. Ms. Karliczek will join us remotely, and Cristian-Silviu, the chair of the ITRE committee, is also with us for this closing event. Thank you very much to all of you for joining us and trying to wrap up what has happened in research and innovation in these 3 days of the Research and Innovation Days. I will now try in a few minutes to share a few lessons which my team and myself are drawing from these Research and Innovation Days. You will see also slides which will be going round to give you a bit of a sense of what that was. And then Margrethe Vestager, Mariya, Gabriel, the presidency and the parliament will draw the content and political lessons from these 3 Research and Innovation Days. So, I think the very first lesson, which is also one which I heard this morning from the Innovation Capital Award, is that you need sometimes to dare. And quite frankly, Mariya, thank you very much for agreeing to take the risk to have these Research and Innovation Days in these very difficult times, fully remote, on a platform which brought together 150 events, more than 600 speakers, and as I said, more than 32,000 of you which came during these 3 days to interact with us. This was a real big leap, and I'm really grateful, Mariya, to you, but also to the organizers for making that possible. I would like particularly, of course, here to say that I need to thank the team in DG Research and Innovation to have done that, not just to have done it, but to have prepared it, organized it remotely as well. So, colleagues, you are heroes. Now, daring is what we need to do. The second lesson is that these Research and Innovation Days, to an extent, they embody Europe's transitions. They have demonstrated that we are able to be a digital Europe with people and for people. And they have demonstrated that you can have an event which is really low carbon. The carbon footprint of the event, and I must say I'm very proud of that, is minimal. Everything is either reusable or recyclable, and none of us traveled for the event. Margrethe, Mariya, and the few which were with us on the set are in Brussels, and many, many of you have joined us remotely. And I think it also showed that we are a bit resilient in Europe, because honestly there were a few technical glitches. I want to say that also, including to those of you which suffered from them. But at the same time, we had great moderators which were able to get the very many sessions up and running. And thank you for your patience and for being with us during these 3 days. Now, I think these Research and Innovation Days, and that was the reason why we decided to have them, have also shown that there is still amazing appetite across Europe and beyond to co-create and co-design Europe's research and innovation policy. We've seen it in all sessions where so many of you, including citizens, came with questions, suggestions to make our partnerships more impactful, to ensure that they really drive these transitions, that the missions kick off and have impact, and that our blue sky research, our innovation is carried to the next level. So there has been massive engagement, and we will draw the lessons from it. We have the strategic planning, which I think you have by and large endorsed, and we will now be able to work with all that input also in preparing the work programs of Horizon Europe, and I hope in the next few days also inject a lot of your ideas into the implementation of the European research area. What you are saying essentially is that you believe that research and innovation does not only provide the evidence base for our public policies, but that it should also provide direction, because research and innovation can work across the economy, the social dimension, the environmental dimension, and the governance of our sustainability model. And last is citizens. We have opened up these research and innovation days completely. So anyone in Europe interested in research and innovation was welcome. And as I said, several thousand of you decided to join. More than 6,000 of you went to Science is Wonderful, this amazing exhibition where we show these best European projects. But then many hundreds and thousands of you were also part of this co-design process. I mean, it's a little bit for me still a mystery to see how much we will be able to use that. So we will draw the lessons over the next few days and few weeks to see how much you brought in. And you will tell us whether we were able not just to hear you, but also to listen to you. I think science needs citizens, scientists and industry. They can make great scientific and technological choices, but society then needs to carry these technological choices, so you need to be part of those choices as well. And let's see in the next few weeks how much you have impacted on these research and innovation days. And I finish by saying that these 3 days have confirmed that we have 2 amazing assets in Europe, allowing us to be the place where the best science is taking place. It's our values and our talent. And with that, I would like to close and move now to the more political part of the wrap-up session. And I start, Vice President, with you, if you allow. You have followed it, I'm sure, in large parts. I said this was largely a digital event. How do you see that your research and innovation portfolio will be able to drive the digital transition? And I know that you want this digital transition to be driving the green one also. And I think that's what we can, I hope, offer.
Well, I definitely think that that is an offer. But first, please let me thank also all the moderators, because it must be very, very difficult to conduct an orchestra when all the players of the different instruments, they are in each their location. It is, I think, it's really well done, and quite amazingly so. The fact that so many interesting discussions have been able to take place, I find that really uplifting, and also supporting of the fact that we can develop also the shortcomings of digital when we put sort of our human spirit into it. Because I think by now we've all seen the shortcomings of video sessions, trying to figure out what is the next step in order to get sort of the granularity of human interaction, to get that more clearly through. The thing was that when we took office in December, the green and the digital transition, that was our main goals. At long last, Europe would have a real long-term strategy. But then COVID came, and that made it even clear, of course, also initially, both the green and the digital transition should be and would be based on the best that science can provide. But the COVID also showed us, in our face, that we really need science in order for this to happen. And I am, despite of the awful situation that we have right now, I'm still very confident that we can make it. We can make this a climate neutral continent by 2050. We can build an economy for everyone when we make best use of digital technology. And of course, we can recover stronger than what we were, because, come on, there were shortcomings to the world before COVID, so better rebuild a better one. And that, of course, entails that we have days like this, but also that we take the insights from these days to make the cooperation between science as such, research, innovation, but also development to a close. And now we are so close to adopting the Horizon Europe strategic plan. It's a plan that puts together, I think, tens of thousands entries in one strategic plan for the years to come, which I find that to be an amazing process. And it shows the strength of Europe coming together to provide this. in order to maximize the effect, because I think that is what the process of the Horizon Europe strategic plan has shown, a number of things will have to be interlinked. And the first thing is that the challenges themselves are interlinked. There will be no climate neutral continent without digital. There will be no digital transformation if we do not think of it as green and for society. Obviously, I think the examples, they just pile up. An obvious one would be to have artificial intelligence take care of traffic flows, to lower pollution, to lower emission, and to enable people to get from A to B faster and more convenient than today. Likewise, becoming a leader in technology, that opens up markets for European companies. That be hydrogen, that be electric vehicles, next generation of photovoltaics, longer lasting batteries. Well, competitiveness also comes from this. And here research have an obvious role to play. So it's not either or. The second thing, and I guess there will have been in these days many participants, both from the public and the private sector. And that, of course, is part of the trick. It's such an important link that private and public sector comes together. Because otherwise we will not make the transition. Obviously, we need research that is very basic. That is blue sky, that is not connected. And I don't in any way support this idea that you only want to have applied research, because it is in the basic research that you have the real breakthroughs. But we need to make sure that we connect. And I know a lot has been said these days about bringing innovation to the market, but maybe one could also turn that around to say, well, let's bring market to innovation. Let's make sure that we have competition in innovation also, so that we get these connections much closer. Also because even though Horizon Europe is a giant program, we will not reach our goals without private investment. We need private investment, we need to crowd it in, so if we can also bring the market closer to that. And the last thing that I will say, the third link that preoccupies me, is the link between policy areas. I see how active Mariya is in every college to contribute, that be health, obviously green and digital, but also when it comes to, well, it's relevant everywhere. And I think that's the very important thing, and I think that is what our competition can achieve. Finally, but that ought to go without saying, that fair societies are innovative societies, because a fair society is a society where talent can thrive. Where talent can thrive and excellence can thrive. So things very much come together. And from what I have learned in these days, it is the richness, the diversity, but also that we have a community here. And that I find to be very, very promising for the steps ahead of us.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And I think this really, I mean, the summary, which is your own vision of research and innovation, really echoes largely what we have heard during these 3 days, and what we will try to propose to you and to the college in the next few days around the strategic planning, as you said, and the European research area. Mariya, you have been everywhere during these three research and innovation days. My team tells me 22 sessions. You must have learned a little bit during these 22 sessions. I think it would be great if you could share that with us. And maybe from that, you could tell us what your messages are for all those which have been with you during these 3 days.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Jean-Eric. I can say since the beginning that every one of my messages now, there is a concrete example. During these 3 R&I days, first of all, what we have seen, that we need events like this one. But this event was possible because you, together with you, Jean-Eric, together with you, Margrethe, we are a team. So that's my first message. We need events like this one because we are able to produce a result as a team, and because that's an extraordinary place for exchanges. Second, that's not only a place where we can exchange about best practices, questions, answers, but it's about co-creation and co-design. And immediately after, what was very clear, that we have strengths. We have strong instruments, Horizon Europe program, Erasmus Plus program. We have the European Innovation Council. We have the European Research Council. We have the European Institute of Innovation and Technology. Now, what was very clear, that there is a need to continue to invest in research, innovation, and education, because they are more powerful if they work together. The next message is that there is now new elements. And these elements are real opportunities for us. That was a great symbol that we started the first session with the final reports of our missions. Missions on cancer, oceans, waters, cities, climate adaptation, soil. Every one of us knows how important are these topics. But what was our message is that since the beginning, we are working not only for our citizens, but we are working with our citizens in order to identify what are the good recommendations and how we can implement them together with them. Synergies, another key word. Synergies between the different instruments within Horizon Europe, synergies between the European research area and the European education area, synergies between Horizon Europe, Erasmus+, and the structural fund. Cooperation, another key word. And I think that that was a great example that this morning, that was the first memorandum of understanding signed between three KICs of our EIT together with the European Innovation Council. Strong actors playing together, better chances to achieve results. Finally, what I have seen, how important is to continue to give recognition and visibility of our talents. A lot of different ceremonies, women innovators, innovation capitals, high-tech in humanitarian net, Horizon Impact Award. That's something very important. And that will be my final message, that was very clear during those 3 days, that yes, we are able to be a digital leader, a green leader, but that means that we should continue to be inclusive, because that's the added value of our European approach, because human being, our values of democracy, tolerance, reciprocity, equality, that's at the heart of our project, and that was amazing. That was amazing to see how an entire innovation ecosystem was somehow built during those 3 days.
We will need to nurture it, and we will in immediately, and building towards next year's Research and Innovation Days, Mariya. Before we move to the second part of the closing session, we have now a wrap-up video, which is an attempt by my colleagues and by the organizers to try to bring together what we just heard from Margrethe and from Mariya and what we've seen during these 3 days. So let's have a look.
Good morning. Good morning. Here we are.
Welcome to everyone in Brussels and around Europe and the world.
The event is organized in order to go deep in this action with the help of you, citizens and stakeholders.
If you combine all the challenges we face today, then I think we have to use this opportunity to steer our society in a sustainable direction.
A fair, clean and green society.
It's now up to us to turn this vision into a reality.
The prosperity of Europe's future, whether in social, economic or health terms, depends on R&I.
Bringing innovative health entrepreneurs. We should not accept AI systems that discriminate against people.
Is this technology?
AI-driven tech. On the first day, we have 30,000 people who have registered and actively engaged with the platform. So that's a big, big highlight.
It's not about revolution, but evolution.
We need to mobilize and make sure that we capitalize on all the talent in Europe moving forward.
Nothing will happen if people, politicians, institutions do not engage.
We all have a responsibility, not only scientists, not only politicians, but every citizen and every consumer.
Let us work together.
Let's be inspired by the bright ideas citizens have about Europe's future.
Now it's my privilege to announce the winner.
Thank you so much.
To solve our global problems and issues, we need female entrepreneurship and leadership.
Thank you very much for all these excellent, brilliant examples of how words can join actions, and that's for the benefit of our citizens. I would like to welcome you to the first virtual edition of Science is Wonderful.
Exciting, democratic.
The platform itself is fantastic. I really enjoy it.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Well, thank you for the energy which you brought during these three Research and Innovation Days. Thanks for this video. And I continue now. The European Parliament, dear Chair of the ITRE Committee, Cristian-Silviu, the European Parliament was very present also. The members of the European Parliament have been in many sessions, helping us find the right areas and the right priorities. And I know the European Parliament is very much behind Horizon Europe as well. So, Cristian-Silviu, can I ask you to give us your takeaways of these 3 days?
Thank you so much, Monsieur Jean-Éric Paquet. Thank you and congratulations. I'd like to congratulate Mariya Gabriel for this wonderful initiative. I also listened very carefully, Vice President Vestager, and I totally agree that without innovation, it would be impossible to reach the very essential and strategic objectives that we have, the Green Deal and the digitalization of EU economies. Yes, European Parliament was part of this event. Colleagues were present. I was also part of this important event, not only at the opening, and I saw in the video short part of my intervention, but also I participated to a live session on the new EIC Pathfinder, Science Towards Technology Breakthrough. And I would like once again to underline that bringing science and industry together should never be at the detriment of fundamental research, and we need to work towards this not to be. But we need science and industry working more closely together, and I believe that innovations from the Pathfinder, for example, will increase the well-being of our people and prepare a competitive and sustainable future for the next generations. You mentioned Horizon Europe. Of course, we have to fight still to implement a very good program. I hope that we'll get an increase of a budget in the coming weeks during the negotiations, but do not forget that Horizon 2020 and its predecessors have shown what European researchers and industries can achieve when enough money and resources are invested in research and innovation. They also shown us where we need to improve and how. Now it will be the turn of Horizon Europe, with the new way of seeing things, with the mission, with the clusters, with the new governance of the program. And I hope with the reinforced budget, I believe that we will fulfill the expectations, because our citizens, our academia, our businesses, and all our research and innovation community are waiting. Finally, I believe that investing in research and innovation has a high return on investment, not only monetary, but also in terms of competitivity, safety, security, and prosperity. Ultimately, it will contribute to the Union's aim to be technological autonomous and less dependent on external support. It is not an overstatement to say that prosperity of Europe's future, whether in social, economic, or health terms, depends a lot on research and innovation. That's why we need to be very supportive. And once again, congratulations for everything that you are doing in the European Commission. And all the colleagues from ITRE Committee, and not only from ITRE Committee, from European Parliament, will support all the good initiatives and will be very much involved in working together with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, dear Cristian-Silviu, Chair of the ITRE Committee. Thank you very much for the support from the European Parliament, the ambition from the European Parliament on the budget, you said it, but also on the content of the programme, on the policy content of European research and innovation. Well, European research and innovation is very much on the agenda of European institutions, but it is essentially delivered in and by member states. So I'm really absolutely delighted that we had so many member state representatives, ministers, of course, to begin with, but also many, many colleagues in national administrations which are part of the effort, the European administration, if you want, together, which have shaped these research and innovation days. And therefore, I'm delighted to welcome Anja Karliczek, who is the Minister for Research and Education for the German presidency. Mr. Karliczek, welcome. You are joining us at a key moment, of course, to close the Research and Innovation Days. That's your job now, but also maybe to close the negotiations of Horizon Europe. So we'd be really happy to hear you on maybe some takeaway messages which you have from these 3 days, and maybe give us a glimpse of what you expect on Horizon Europe. Minister, over to you.
Yeah, hello. I'm really glad. I'm really nice that I can join this event, and I have visited short times, and I think you had an impressive demonstration what cooperation and joint action in Europe looks like it's at its best. And on the one hand, we have the three institutions, the Council, the European Parliament, and the Commission. And while on the other, we closely involve a large number of stakeholders and citizens. And Europe is strong when we stand together. I would like to congratulate the Commission on this successful event. These R&I Days have been quite unusual. And I know what it is because last week we had the informal Education Minister Council. And the pandemic has not changed only the format of the R&I Days, but also the topics. And I'm interested, and I'm impressed, but how much researchers are already doing in ongoing projects under Horizon 2020, and to provide a better understanding on the coronavirus and how we can fight it. And this was underlined not only in the Health Cluster workshop, but also in the sessions of the European Research Council. The impact of the pandemic affects at all our actions, the Green Deal, as well as the European research area. And the discussions of the last few days have clearly reflected this fact. The R&I Days have also clearly shown that the current pandemic is not the only major challenge we are facing. Climate change and digital transformation and fight against cancer are also examples of other important challenges where we are also taking joint action. And again, we need to act to resolve. Together for Europeans' recovery. That's the motto of the German presidency of the Council of the European Union. And we want to emerge from this crisis stronger than before. And to achieve this, we need more sustainable and climate-friendly economy. And in our informal meeting of research ministers in July, we have provided an important starting point for this. And let me just mention, it's also green hydrogen. It holds great potential for European cooperation, and it will enable us to shape a sustainable future. And this is why we want to make rapid progress on green hydrogen. We will more ahead with next step at a meeting of the EU research ministers in October. In this meeting, we will not only address green hydrogen, but also a second topic, the freedom of scientific research in the European research area. Our attention is to adopt the Bonn Declaration on Freedom of Scientific Research at that meeting. The freedom of science and research is, for me, a precondition for all research and innovation.
Thank you very much, Minister. Thanks a lot for these views, and I think they pave the way for an emerging consensus between institutions. I'm very optimistic. I think that's it, largely, Mariya. Back to you.
Thank you very much, dear Minister Karliczek, dear Cristian. These 3 days at R&I Days have been full of open discussions and interactions with all the actors of the innovation and research ecosystem in Europe. It gave us the opportunity to reflect and draw conclusions about the key elements for the future of innovation, research and education in Europe. First, we need to stay mobilized and at the same time be flexible to adapt to new realities. The R&I Days 2020 demonstrates how Europe is capable of leading the transformation in the coming years. In just 2 months, our event has never been a hybrid version that combines the best technologies, such as augmented reality or application program interfaces, to ensure that this platform is a platform for true co-creation of the future R&I policies. Second, we need to work together to achieve better results. We need to ensure that the European research area, the European education area, and the European innovation area become spaces where all actors work together. The R&I Days is an excellent example of this collaboration, with almost 35,000 Europeans participating actively together, with 10 members of the College of the European Commission, numerous members of the European Parliament, ministers and council representatives. Third, we need to work together. We need to co-create and co-design with European society at large. We started the R&I Days with the Horizon Europe missions. This was a symbol because the missions are a test example, the best example of what co-creation means in collaborations with thousands of Europeans. 4, as part of this spirit of collaboration, it is the idea of synergies. It includes synergies between Horizon Europe, Erasmus+, and the structural funds, and synergies among European organizations as well. The signing ceremony of the Memorandum of Understanding between the European Innovation Council and the 3 EIT KICs this morning shows what synergies mean in practice. After, one thing is certain: will not be successful without the collaboration from the regions, cities, and villages. The Joint Action Plan with the Committee of the Regions, the Innovation Capital Awards, and the Startup Villages initiatives are just a few examples of what can be done to build an inclusive and excellent research innovation landscape in Europe. Another important factor: in addition, we need strong links with our neighbors in the area of research innovation. The innovation agenda for the Western Balkans will contribute to this aim. Above all, we need to involve our citizens. The citizens' engagement session was an excellent illustration of how the European institutions can work with citizens living anywhere in Europe to ensure we do not leave anyone behind. This is the moment to make a special mention about the important role of girls and women to increase excellence in research innovation in Europe. The Women Innovators Award ceremony of yesterday demonstrates that Europe can only advance in research and innovation by engaging more girls and more women. To conclude, I want to stress that we need to be concrete about what we want to achieve in the short term, to bridge the innovation divide, to foster a fair and just transition, to develop innovation ecosystems in every region in Europe, and to provide the necessary resources for all our talents. Because excellence and inclusiveness are the two sides of the same coin. The European Union can only strive if everyone progresses. I want to conclude by giving a big thanks to the hundreds of colleagues at the Commission who have been working tirelessly for the last month to set up this wonderful R&I Days 2020. Thank you, Jean-Éric Paquet and Themis Christofido, my Directors General, for showing how by working together we are stronger. Big thanks to your teams. We'll meet again in this forum in 2021 to discuss the progress that we have made by then. And finally, big thanks to all these people that are not on the screen, but they are behind. And thanks to you, to your expertise, to your professionalism, this dream, R&I Days 2020 virtual format, was a real success. Thank you very much.